Chapter 15, Building Belief in Your Team. Hopefully, you've read my earlier book, Making the First Circle Work. And if not, please make some time to do that soon. The entire book is devoted to the concept of transforming hope into belief. If you desire to become a powerful, beneficial leader, you need to become an expert at helping your team do just that. And here's why. Hope is what gets people into the business. Belief is what keeps people in the business. When someone joins the business or is still relatively new, they hope the business will work. Hope they'll win a free trip or they'll qualify for a bonus car. When they get over the line, that hope has transformed into belief. Now they don't hope the business will work or hope they will be successful. They know they will be successful because they have developed rock-solid belief. How do you get your people over that line so they transition from hope to belief and become strong, productive members of your team? Allow me to share 7 elements that I believe are necessary for the process. These aren't really skills. Some are habits. Some simply reflect a mindset. And some are techniques. Each of these elements serve 2 purposes: making you a stronger leader and building belief in the people who follow you. Let's start with the list, then study each of the items in greater detail. Here's the list. Number 1, posture. Number 2, image. Number 3, events. 4 is personal development. Number 5 is consistency. 6, commitment. And 7 is sacrifice. All right, let's look at posture. Not only is posture a critical element in your prospecting process, it's just as important while working with your team. Posture is a combination of what you believe, how you act, and the confidence you have. And most relevant to this discussion, the confidence you instill in others. People who are over the line have posture. Those who are not really over the line lack posture. Posture is about knowing what you really have. You approach people with confidence because you have no doubts in what you're offering them. When you don't have posture, you approach candidates and really the business as a whole with mindsets like, I'll give this a try. I hope I don't get rejected. Let me see if any of my friends are excited first. When you have posture, you have completely different mindsets. You approach like, I'm going to crush this thing. Who can I offer this thermo freaking amazing opportunity to? Who's next? Right? People with posture don't go after the easy people who are so desperate for income that they'll join anything. They immediately approach the most busy, ambitious, successful people they know. And they approach them with a confident expectation of a positive outcome. People over the line know that leverage sales is a dream business. Really, that's not fluffy marketing prose. The business truly is a dream come true for millions of people. Let's just kind of look at the advantages, just a little recap. What are some of the benefits people receive in our business, right? Extremely low investment, high profit potential, lifestyle benefits, lucrative tax breaks, opportunities for contribution, no employee headaches, low stress, travel opportunities, residual income potential, passive residual income potential. So when you think about people you approach, look for successful people who understand business. Then approach those people with posture. Don't chase after them or beg or plead for an audience. Confidently offer them an opportunity to get involved with something extraordinary, something you know is probably superior to the job or business that person currently has. The other thing that comes from posture is the ability to recruit up. Here's what I mean. When I joined my company, I did exactly as we just talked about. I went to the most busy, ambitious, successful people I knew. I let them know how big the opportunity was and how big they could be in it. There were about 10 people I felt could produce a multi-million-dollar business. And by the way, just side note, of those 10, 7 had no leverage sales experience. Yet I was confident they could earn that kind of money because they were intelligent and possessed both influence and good teaching skills. Now, here's the key. Yes, I've made millions of dollars in this business, but when I started talking to these people, I wasn't even a manager, which was the first rank in my company, and I hadn't even cashed my first $500 bonus check. Do you really get that? I didn't wait until I was earning 6 figures a month to project how big these people could be. I knew what I had, and I presented the opportunity accordingly. Let me say that again. I knew what I had, and I presented the opportunity accordingly. Why am I reading this book instead of hiring a narrator so I could be playing softball right now on Saturday instead of being locked in a studio with the air conditioner turned off so you wouldn't hear the rattle? Because I want you to know that. I want you to know what you have and present the opportunity accordingly. Playing small is not serving you. Being conservative is not serving you. And waiting for success before you approach the really successful people is not serving you either. A Stradivarius violin is worth millions, even if you don't know how to play the violin. A Bugatti is still ferocious, whether or not you know how to drive. And leverage sales is still one of the top ways in the world for somebody with no experience, little capital, or a limited education to create true financial freedom. Even if you just started the business yesterday and haven't made $20 yet, that doesn't diminish or restrict the potential the business has for your candidates. You have one of the finest business opportunities in the world. Start acting congruently, and that means with posture. Go after people who make more money than you do, people who have more education than you do, and people who have reached higher levels of success than you have. You're going to be pleasantly surprised to discover that they're actually very receptive, attentive, and open-minded. That's why they are successful. Wear the 6 decades that this business has been helping people as your breastplate. Hold the experience of your sponsorship line as your shield. Arm yourself with the confidence that this business has helped hundreds of thousands live a better life. Arm yourself with the confidence that I have in this business, that I have in you, that's why I'm speaking to you right now. Then, pick up your cell phone, pause this recording right now, and call the toughest candidate on your list, and speak with posture. Number 2, image matters. Mention this topic and most people think they know what you mean. Most think their image is good. Most would be wrong. Think about this. Where do you first run into your candidates? Not at your business briefings or company events. Not even when you're prospecting. You will meet the vast majority of your candidates for the first time as you're going through your day-to-day life. Okay, maybe you get all dolled up in a suit when you meet them at your business briefing. But by the time your candidate arrives at the briefing, their impression of you is already set. And in most cases, this was determined by the first time they met you. Most likely when you went to a movie, shopped at the market, dropped in at a party, attended a concert or cultural event, got your car washed, met new people at a neighborhood barbecue. In other words, while you were living your day-to-day life, standing on the sidelines at your kid's soccer game, picking up clothes from the dry cleaner, and shopping at the local mall. That's when you're going to first encounter many of your candidates. Or more accurately, they will encounter you. So, how do you look? How do you look right now as you're listening to this audiobook? Do you look like the rank you want to be when you leave the house each day? Or do you look like a lot of people today who wear Budweiser t-shirts when they appear in court and workout gear to attend a wedding? That doesn't mean you need to be wearing a Tom Ford suit every time you leave the house, but you have to look sharp. You can still look chic dressed in blue jeans if you're dressing on purpose. Are your clothes pressed and clean? Is your breath fresh? Hair styled? You got appropriate jewelry on? And what about your attitude? That's the biggest thing. Are you positive, friendly, and the kind of person people like to be around? Do you practice good manners and treat others with courtesy? I remember visiting a city to meet a colleague, and he was looking to do business with me. So he picked me up at the airport and wined and dined me to show how important I was to him. But I found I really didn't like him and decided not to give him my business. And here's why. Because although he treated me with respect, he didn't do that for anyone else. When we went through the toll booth on the way for the airport, he didn't say a single word to the toll taker, not even hello. And I know today probably there's not even toll takers, right? It's all just automated. But there was a human being there. And he had to give that human being a bill and get change. And he just thrust the bill at him, waited for the change, and then drove off. And coming from Madison, Wisconsin, where I was raised, that's just rude. Same thing happened at the restaurant. He was treating me like a king, but he treated the waiter like garbage. I certainly doubted the sincerity of his respect toward me, and I was uncomfortable being around someone with so little regard for the dignity of others. Every time you leave the house, you're projecting an image of yourself. Is the image you project one that would attract people to work in your business or repel them? And then there's the second part, the image you have among your group. You see, your team has a perception of you as well. This perception is based on factors like how you speak, the way you dress, your overall style, how you treat others, the skill sets you've developed, your rank and your income, and your personal brand. We spent a whole chapter talking about personal branding earlier, so I won't go into how you do that. But here's some additional thoughts on how your team's perception of you can be influenced. One of the unique elements of the training events I hold for my top leaders is booking outside experts in image and etiquette. The truth is, most people who join our business have no idea about manners and etiquette. I sure didn't, because our society has gotten away from them. And many more people have no idea about fashion or style. If you're a man and you fail to pull out the chair for a lady dining next to you, or you let a door slam in her face, frankly, you're a bore. And you're hardly going to impress candidates at a networking lunch if you're pushing food onto your fork with your fingers, slurping your soup, or talking with food in your mouth. Or if you have to ask which bread plate or iced tea is yours, right? Here, I'm giving you a bonus tip for you audiobook readers. Remember BMW, right? The car BMW. So B is bread. So that means your bread plate is the one on your left. M is main. That's your big plate, right? And W is the water. So if you just remember BMW, when you sit at that table for 10 at the gala at the opera or the Chamber of Commerce, you know the bread plate on your left and the iced tea is yours. See, an etiquette coach will do wonders for your image. That's where I learned that, from an etiquette coach. Not to mention what it does for your self-confidence and self-esteem. I see many women in the business who don't know how to put on makeup properly. They wear enough perfume to stun an ox, or they don't realize that a slinky dress that works for a dinner date with their hot, whatever, might not be appropriate in a business context. True story, when I bought my first dress shirt, it didn't have any buttons on the sleeve. Instead, it had these really cool cuffs with colorful plastic tabs that held the two sides together, right? So some of you know where I'm going with this. Obviously, Deborah does because she's laughing at me through the glass. Only after I wore it did somebody inform me that those were called French cuffs, and I was supposed to use cuff links in those slots. I had no idea there was even such a thing as cuff links in the world. Okay, where I grew up, trust me, nobody wore cuff links, all right? I also didn't realize that the brand label sewn on the outside of my first sports jacket was supposed to be removed. And of course, the bargain basement outlet store where I bought it, they didn't tell me that. Gentlemen, you look absolutely fabulous in that lavender, extended length, 6-button suit jacket. As long as you're performing at the Grammys with Dr. Hook or Kool in the Gang. Young people, you'll have to Google them. If you're conducting a business presentation, not so much. Often people have a hairstyle that's way out of date, or it doesn't flatter their features. Did you know that if you have a round face, you should wear square glasses? And if you have a square face, wear round ones. It balances the look to make you more attractive. If you have, let's say, an ample butt, guys, wearing a jacket with side vents will make the back flap jut out. You'd look better in a jacket that has no vents. How many people know tips like these? I sure didn't. An image makeover by a good professional can boost your self-confidence and produce remarkable growth for your career. One of the things we did, just again, side note riffing, at our leadership retreat trip where the high-level people were, the ones who qualified, they got a makeover at Nordstrom's, where we took them in and they had someone who took them to the makeup department and showed them how to do makeup. And then they had a fashion designer that helped them pick out clothes, and then a cologne person and a jewelry person. And they literally got a makeover, right? That's the kind of stuff that I want to teach my leaders. I want to incorporate that in at the top leadership levels. In this business, you're always selling the dream. You sell the dream to candidates with your presentations. And you're selling the dream to your team by how you live. The image you project determines whether or not a candidate joins your team. In fact, your image often determines whether they will even review your information or attend your meeting. Even when you're brand new in the business, you can project an image of confidence, belief, and professionalism. And nothing will attract good candidates faster than that. But again, as your people develop, right? So I have guys in my team that they reach a certain rank, and I put my arm around them at an event and say, you're at the level now, I think I need to introduce you to my suit guy. And I'll take him to my guy who makes a bespoke, meaning custom fitted suit exactly for them, because they're making $40,000 a month. They don't need to be wearing a cheap suit off the rack that doesn't fit them well, right? They've reached a level. But again, I'm not doing that with a brand new person. They need to be wearing that sport jacket off the rack, just like I did, and maybe you did, and most of your team did. But as they evolve up the leadership track, this is the kind of stuff where we can impact them in a positive way. The image you have with your team will dramatically affect how far you can go and how fast you get there. Is your image that of a leader or a follower? Do you project trust or create doubt? Do you look like a professional or an amateur? Give some real thought to the image you project and grade yourself critically and honestly in this category. All right, let's get to number 3, building through events. Huge part of the business, guys. Getting someone over the line means helping him or her to develop that no turning back mindset. They have a rock-solid commitment to the business and your company, and they will not quit no matter what challenges present themselves. They are in. They are so in that it won't matter if all of the products are on back order for 6 weeks, their top leader quits, the company is a recipient of negative publicity on national television, or their cousin Pookie insists that the business won't work. None of those situations will matter because they're over the line. Because remember what we said earlier, they have belief, not hope. And nothing gets people over the line better. Nothing builds belief better than major events. They are the glue that holds the organization together and the vehicle for critical functions such as recognition and training. They're also the best medium for building belief in a way that can't be replicated through other means. If you're not in charge of events, you might think this category doesn't apply to you. That would be a mistake, because the real issue here is how you promote and use the events available to you. Many will be events from your sponsorship line. Others will be put on by the company. They might even be generic events. I do believe the best scenario is a steady diet of events put on by the field leadership and your company. These events will be the most helpful in terms of building belief in your specific company, product line, and system. The most effective approach I've seen is having 3 or 4 major events a year spaced out every 3 or 4 months. Also, an extra one, a leadership program, but that's only for high-level pin ranks, not the whole team. Usually of those other events, one of those is the annual convention hosted by the company. Here's the thing you have to understand if you want to be a leader and continually grow your network. You have to be at every one of these events. But most of them are not designed for you. They're designed for your team to get them over the line. Your role is to create a culture where the events and attendance at them is a top priority. You must promote every event and get as many of your team members there as possible. Let's suppose you get 25 people at a major event. If the event is done right, at least 10 of them will get over the line. Something will happen and they'll get it. This transformation can be created by a multitude of different possibilities during the event. By meeting the company president and looking in her eyes, or watching a speech from one of the top income earners, or because of a comment just from the person sitting next to them. Maybe it's just a conversation that happens in the hallway during a break. Often, this alteration occurs when someone is giving their acceptance speech for reaching a new rank. A certain number of your people will relate to that person giving the speech and realize that the story they are hearing could be their story. They resolve to make that story true for themselves. And once that happens, game over. They will make it come true because now they're over the line. There's a good chance that 15 of your 25 may not have this aha moment. But at the very least, they'll be excited, leave more motivated, and probably move into increased action. Some of them will then come back to the next event and get over the line there, or the one after that. Some will have to come to 5, 10, or even 15 events before they get over the line. Others will never get over the line and will drop out along the way. but they will be replaced and the team augmented by the new recruits brought in from the people who do get over the line. All right, let me share with you something really powerful, and this is a tipping point thing. I'm going to call it the magic of 100. Once you get at least 100 distributorships, so for example, you have a husband and wife working the business together, that's one distributorship, right? When you get at least 100 distributorships from your team to an event, you cross a tipping point. Having at least 100 business centers, that's what I would call a distributorship, a business center, right? Having at least 100 of those represented ensures you have enough leaders who will stick around and eventually get over the line. Then true duplication sets in and your business is vested. What do I mean by vested? Let's get into it. So the secret to success starts with getting to your first major event. Bring as many of your team members with you as you can. Learn to promote events, not just announce events. Create a culture where event attendance is standard operating procedure. There are 5 reasons we conduct major events. And everyone, and I do mean everyone, is always in need of one of these 5 results. They are to gain knowledge, to improve attitude, to change behavior, to develop skills, to build belief. After you reach a certain point, the events are not really about you learning skill sets, with the exception, of course, the annual Leadership Summit, which is focused on helping you grow your leadership skills. That needs to be ongoing forever. But the primary events are there for you to use to build your team faster. The most successful leaders in our profession are experts who build from major event to major event. And that's what you must do. I was doing an interview and they asked me to describe the essence of the business for leaders. I replied that the true essence of the business is selling 2 items and 2 items only. Number 1, your products. Number 2, tickets to the next major event. Period. End of story. Now you might ask, what about selling the dream? That happens at major events. You might ask about training people in skill sets. That happens at the major events. In fact, all of the critical skills in which your team needs training or belief building happen at the major events. That's why you have to make promoting from one major event to the next major event a linchpin of your strategy. I told you that it makes your business vested. What do I mean by that? It means that once you have 100 distributorships there, you're going to develop enough leaders who get over the line that business will continue to grow forever, even if you leave it. So 4 months from now, if you get run over by a train, we could come back 4 years later and whoever inherited your business would still be getting residual income from it because it was vested. You had created enough leadership that the distributorship will continue to support itself. All right, let's get to our 4th element, personal development. This is the most important daily habit to have in the business and the one that most new people resist. Because telling people they need to work on themselves isn't sexy. To them, the sexy thing is learning more prospecting techniques. What they fail to understand is this. If you aren't the kind of person people trust, believe in, and want to work with, they'll never join your business. The other issue is, to be successful in the business, you have to have a certain confidence, demeanor, and presence. And that comes from who you are. And that begins with personal development. If you remember, the first element was posture. You can't have good posture if you don't have the right mindset. And personal development is going to be the biggest influence to create your mindset. The fact is, our business is not easy. Simple, yes, but easy, no. Sometimes we're approaching skeptical people who don't always understand the differences between sketchy money games and legitimate leverage sales. Often we're promoting breakthrough products that need some explanation. We're bringing in a lot of people who have never been their own boss before, so turnover is a reality of the business. We have to have positive energy all the time. You have to see challenges as growth opportunities, setbacks as learning experiences, and adversity as necessary for character building. And that's pretty tough to do when you're surrounded by negativity all day, as many of us are. The truth is, most of your average coworkers, friends, and family members are probably negative. They don't mean to be, but they can't help themselves. They're being programmed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just as you are. If you want an extremely deep dive into all the mind viruses you're being programmed with, read one of my early books. It's called Why You're Dumb, Sick, and Broke, and How to Get Smart, Healthy, and Rich. All right, it's all about programming and mindset, the mind viruses, the memes we get infected with. To really have a positive mindset, you have to counter-program your subconscious mind with positive programming. You know this. Every great leader in our business does this religiously, usually on a daily basis. I believe in 30 minutes of self-development time daily, done first thing in the morning. Doing this early creates your consciousness and determines the results you will get that day. For some reason, most new people think top leaders never had anyone quit on them, never face any adversity, or all of their candidates immediately said yes. The truth is, top leaders face a lot more challenges, adversity, and rejection. But they spend enough personal development time, so these setbacks don't prevent them from reaching success. They are so far over the line, it wouldn't matter if an earthquake swallowed up the corporate headquarters. They'll still find a way to be successful, and they'll never quit. This is something, again, I'm riffing off the script here. I want you to understand, when you finish this book, you will never have to worry about making an income again the rest of your life. Why? And even if something, like I say, if a meteorite landed on your company, if a volcano swallowed the corporate headquarters, because you will now possess a certain skill set, the ability to build a large team. And you can take that skill set and be successful anywhere in the world. So just keep that in mind. All right, back to the book. Success is not a physical destination, but an ongoing journey of mental equilibrium. Top leaders work on themselves daily to keep their psychological state positive enough that the negative outcomes can never outweigh the positive ones. That's where you need to be. Sustainable success isn't just getting you over the line or keeping you from quitting. It's about dramatically improving the results you produce each and every day. Personal development time in the morning creates a change in your physiological state, which in turn produces better outcomes and results from the actions you take that day. If you call 10 people and invite them to a presentation, you will have a certain result. I promise that you will achieve a better result if you spent some time that morning listening to my Power Prosperity podcast, right? And if you don't subscribe to that, it's on all the platforms. Power Prosperity Podcast by Randy Gage. Believe me, if you just call 10 people, you're going to get a certain result. If you listened to a podcast that morning, got positive reinforcement for 20, 30 minutes, and then you call those 10 people later that day, I guarantee you, you will get a better result. Same thing. If you read the book As a Man Thinketh for 15 minutes when you wake up, you will be a different person at your presentation or training event that night. There will be a different posture in your body, a different tone in your voice, and a different look in your eyes. And that translates into real results. Number 5 was consistency, right? How consistent are you? Consistency may not sound as enticing as a hot new social media marketing technique, but consistency will make you rich in leverage sales. In fact, the single biggest disparity between the top earners and the grinders is how they approach consistency. If I ask you whether you're consistent, you would probably assure me that you are. Most people believe that. But most people are not even close to being consistent in their business efforts. For my group, we do a leadership webcast once a week. Many new team members listen for the first couple of weeks. Then life gets in the way. The successful leaders, they're on 50 times a year. They're consistent. The same thing happens with opportunity presentations and training events. Most people start off with strong participation, but suddenly urgent events, like having to mow the lawn, help a friend move a sofa, or the in-laws come into town, become a valid excuse to neglect their business. Consistency means consistency. Most people don't need bigger goals, but better daily habits. All right, number 6, what's your level of commitment? Being committed sounds easy, right? I mean, isn't everybody? Hardly. The vast majority of people in the business enter with a provisional commitment at best. They utter statements like, I'll give this a try. They have a commitment to success, provided that commitment doesn't inconvenience them, interfere with their comfort zone routine, or conflict with their favorite TV shows. Commitment is like principle. You don't really know you have it until you're tested. Commitment is not jogging every day except when it rains. Commitment means you get wet or you move your run to the fire escape stairway. Rain or shine, you're committed. Some frequent advice you hear is, treat your business like a business. Let me give you something even better. Treat your business like a job. What? Why? Because people are committed to jobs. Because otherwise, they get passed up for promotions, they miss raises, or they get fired. You don't miss work when the American Idol finale is on. You move, or the Lion King comes to town. Your business commitment should be the same way. Here are 2 important commitments that will make a real difference for your business. Number 1, commit to working your business at least 10 to 15 hours a week. And number 2, commit to working your business for at least 1 year. We've already discussed both of these items, so I'm not going to belabor them now. But how many people literally work at least 10 hours a week in their business? And most importantly, do you? Watching the corporate video 4 more times during the week is not doing the business. Scrolling through your back office to see how often the volume goes up is not doing the business. And perusing your Facebook feed isn't either. Doing the business is actively retailing, prospecting, and presenting, or helping someone on your team to actively retail, prospect, or present. These are the rainmaker activities that spur growth and produce income. So you want to devote as many of your 10 to 15 hours a week to these rainmaker activities as possible. We discussed making that commitment for your first year. Yet, how many people drop out in their first 2 weeks? How many give up after 2 months? How many times have you been involved in this business in the past and quit before a year was up? Truth is, leverage sales is a 2 to 4 year plan for most people to reach sustainable, serious income. People do not get rich in 4 or 6 months. It takes time to locate key leaders, get them trained, and build the proper infrastructure. unless you're rolling over a bunch of people from some other company, there are no shortcuts to that. Now, I recognize that a 2 to 4 year commitment might seem like a long time to you. But what about the 45 or 55 years you'll end up spending in a series of normal jobs? And if you follow the job path, where will you be financially at the end of those 4 or 5 decades? So, are you all in for that first year? What did you really do for your 10 or 15 hours last week? What are you really going to do for your 10 or 15 hours this week? And no, listening to this beautiful tenor and timbre of my voice right now doesn't count. This is bonus work because you're learning what to do. I want to know, what are you really going to do for your 10 or 15 hours this week that are rainmaker activities? Give that some serious thought. All right, we're to number 7, sacrifice. I already told you sacrifice is the last item on the list. This one may have surprised you. After all, telling a candidate or even a team member that they have to sacrifice is neither compelling nor enticing. We recruit all the time on money, lifestyle, and luxury. And leveraged sales does offer all those benefits, but not to start. To begin and build something big, you're going to have to sacrifice. I know this isn't sexy. This isn't what you bought the book for. But I got to tell you the truth. I didn't write this book to write the book. I wrote the book because I want you to have the textbook. I want this to be your PhD for success. That, like I say, you will develop this skill set, which you will be able to take anywhere in the world. Even if you're from Minnesota, we could drop you in Thailand and you could build a business. If you're from Indonesia, we could drop you in London and you could build the business. Why? Because you have the knowledge you need and you've developed the skill sets. So I'm not pandering to you, and I'm not telling you, there's a lot of books you can buy that just tell you, oh, you're a beautiful person and you're unique and everything will be, and these products, they just sell themselves, and as long as you're passionate, everything will work out. No, you're not going to hear that crap from me. I'm telling you the truth. The truth is you're going to have to sacrifice if you want to have a business worth having. So you and everybody you bring into the business are already using all 24 hours of every day, using them to perform certain daily habits in certain ways that most likely keep you in your comfort zone. That means to obtain those 10 to 15 hours a week to do the business, you'll have to sacrifice whatever you're doing during that time. This sacrifice doesn't have to last forever, but you will need to sacrifice at the start. I became the number 1 income earner worldwide in a company only because I was willing to sacrifice. Most people, they see every blockbuster movie the week it's released. They watch at least 10 TV shows weekly. I missed most of those or caught them on plane rides a couple of months later. My top leaders took more spa days, cruises, and vacations than I ever did. But I made the decision to sacrifice in the early years to ultimately achieve more in the future. Don't get me wrong, I still did the stuff that brings me great joy. I would go to the midnight preview of a Star Wars movie or opening night at the Met, and I had no compunction about turning down a $50,000 speech that conflicted with one of my softball playoffs. When there was something I was really passionate about, I found a way to savor it. But I kept a relentless mindset about making sacrifices that provided a huge return on investment for my future. I've had the same mantra for 30, 40 years now. I will do today what others will not, so later I can do what others cannot. And you know what? That mantra worked for me, and it'll work for you as well. Are you making the sacrifices today that will bring you true freedom tomorrow? Or are you living in the moment of instant gratification? Monday night is my softball league. Tuesday night is bowling. Thursday night is volleyball. Friday night, the kids and I. Saturday, me and my wife. So, are you living in the moment of instant gratification, which will keep you in the grinder category forever? Are you willing to make sacrifices today? Give up something you may want right now for something you really want later. Here's the list again: posture, image, events, personal development, consistency, commitment, sacrifice. These elements are what elite leaders do to build massive networks, sometimes consciously, sometimes instinctively. The most successful ones employ all of them. So give some serious thought and evaluate yourself in all 7 of these elements. After an honest appraisal, you'll know better what you need to work on. The next step is learning how to recognize, discover, and develop leaders in your team. And that's what you're going to learn in the next chapter.